Now, I'm going to be honest, as a Cardano holder, I thought that I had seen it all by now. But the last few days kind of felt like a plot twist in a movie that I thought I had figured out. There I was, casually scrolling through crypto news in our free Discord, where we share all the juicy updates, when I stumbled on something that made me do a double take. Charles Hoskinson, yeah, the founder of Cardano, apparently offered to help overhaul Dogecoin. Yes, Dogecoin, the meme coin with a Shiba Inu mascot. Now, my first reaction was, what? I mean, Cardano and Doge teaming up, right? It sounded like a bad crypto joke, but it turns out that Charles was dead serious. And that was just the start of where this wild adventure begins. See, once my heart rate settled down, I had to dig deeper here, because if Hoskinson playing with Dogecoin wasn't enough, I was hearing whispers of a major Cardano roadmap update rolling out too. A roadmap that could redefine what Cardano looks like by 2026. So I grabbed my notepad and jumped headfirst into all of these details. What I found honestly had me more optimistic about Cardano's future than I've been in a rather long time. And trust me here, I've been through the roller coaster. The ADA price surges, the ghost chain insults, the endless waiting for real utility. Now this new information is kind of like a plot twist that might finally turn skeptics into believers. Let's start with that Dogecoin bombshell then, because it's just too good. Right out of nowhere, Charles Hoskinson renewed an offer to basically modernize Dogecoin using something called the Bitcoin 2 roadmap. Now he's talking about making Doge the currency of Elon Musk's X platform by improving Dogecoin's tech to make it faster, more reliable, and capable of handling way more transactions. Now I'm sitting here thinking the founder of Cardano wants to help Doge upgrade its codebase. The same Doge that so many dismissed as a joke. It's kind of like Marvel teaming up with DC. It's a little unexpected, but kind of epic if it actually happens. Now, to be clear, it's just an offer, right? Hoskinson floated this idea way back in March of 2025 and brought it up again recently when a community member reminded him. He even said, "I would love to build it. It would be a whole ton of fun." Classic Charles, right? Elon Musk hasn't responded, at least not yet. So this might remain just crypto fan fiction for now. But the fact that it's even on the table tells you something. Cardano's brains and, tech are getting noticed beyond, Cardano's ecosystem. Even, and it could be by some kind of miracle Dogecoin that kind of a Cardano-style makeover puts forward. It could be a crossover event of the decade, right? Now, as a crypto nerd, and I kind of hope that it does happen here, just for the chaos and the memes that it would actually generate. All right, let's get back to the main storyline, Cardano itself. Because while that Doge thing was stealing a few headlines, the Cardano Foundation dropped an update on their global adoption roadmap. And this is where things get really interesting. Imagine you're planning a huge party, but you do it in secret and suddenly send out invites with an entire plan, right? Now that's kind of what this felt like. In September, they gave us a roadmap outlining at least for how Cardano could truly go global, right? Now, they've reported on the progress. And let me tell you this, it's not just talk. They have been busy. First up, education and promotion. Right, one big milestone, the Binance and Cardano Academy is now live. Yes, Binance, the giant exchange, teamed up with Cardano to create an academy so that anyone around the world can learn about blockchain, starting with Cardano. Talk about an alliance, right? And guess what? Over 32,000 users have already completed courses there. 32,000. That's like a small town worth of people becoming Cardano literate in just a short time. Now, as someone who loves teaching others about crypto, hence our channel and our awesome free Discord community, this hits home, doesn't it? Right? It means a wave of new Cardano savvy people could actually be coming into the space, and knowledge is power. No more eyeball ADA because someone on TikTok said so. These people are actually learning the technology and use cases. It's a long-term play for sure, but if it could pay off massively by creating an informed community. Then we have the push into real-world assets, or RWA. Now, this is a fancy way to say bring real things like real estate, commodities, or whatever onto the blockchain as tokens. Now, lots of blockchains, they talk about this, but Cardano is actually lining up the pieces. The foundation now has over 400 industry partners, or sponsors, as they said, on board to figure all of this out. And they're not just collecting business cards here. They're actually working on standards to actually make tokenized real-world stuff work smoothly on Cardano. And this is kind of part of the roadmap that had me picturing the future, like owning a fraction of a piece of farmland or building or trading a token that's backed by gold, all on Cardano with transparency and security. Now, if they nail the standards and interoperability here, Cardano could become the network for real-world assets. And if you think that's not a big deal, consider how much bigger the real-world economy is than the entire crypto market. Right? Tapping into even just a slice of that could be huge. It's complex, regulations, technology, etc. But the fact that they're deeply working with the community and industry on this, it tells me that they are serious. Now, let's talk about Web3. Yes, the buzzword that everyone throws around. But Cardano is giving it some substance, right? Now, the update says that they're already mapped out their strategy and target integrations throughout kind of 2026 for Web3 adoption. Now, in plain English here, they have a game plan to get businesses and developers on Cardano, right? They're hiring more developers, more technical roles, expanding the foundation's capacity to support whatever integrations are coming. Now, this is like seeing a sports team recruit star players because they know that next season is the championship run. Cardano is beefing up its roster for Web3. Think about enterprise collaboration, maybe getting some big brands or companies to build on Cardano by 2026, or making it easier for the next killer decentralized application to choose Cardano over, let's say, Ethereum or Solana. Now, we often hear Cardano moves slow, but to me, this part of the roadmap says we're picking up the pace strategically. It's kind of like the tortoise finally decided to strap on a jetpack while the hare is still napping, counting its DeFi fees. Now, before I get into the rest, I do need to hit pause here for something really important, and unfortunately, it's non-negotiable. Now, this might just shock you, but I'm not a financial advisor, and nothing in this video is financial advice. Cryptocurrencies are highly volatile, and you could lose all of the money that you invest. You should always do your own research and consult a qualified professional. After all, your investments are entirely your responsibility, and you should know that nothing is ever guaranteed when it comes to investing. Neither I, this channel, nor YouTube are liable for any losses, and this video is for entertainment and educational purposes only. Alright, so now that we've got that out of the way, that necessary disclaimer, we've got to stay out of trouble here, right? Let's jump back into the good stuff, because there is a lot more. Now, one area that really made me kind of perk up is the governance decentralization. Now, governance in crypto can sound about as exciting as watching paint dry, but stick with me, because Cardano is doing something pretty radical right here. Right, they've completed what's called the DRep list, and methodically, right? And DRep stands for Delegated Representative, by the way, which basically just means community members chosen to represent others or at least in the on-chain governance, kind of like a crypto parliament of sorts. Now, by the end of this year, Cardano will introduce delegation to these DReps. And here is where the numbers get kind of crazy, because back in September, they said that they were going to delegating 40 million ADA to 7 builder DReps to kickstart things off. Now, they're actually planning to add another 220 million ADA to 11 DReps. Now, if that adds up, that's 260 million ADA being put in the hands of community representatives to vote and steer the project. And the Cardano Foundation itself will be stepping back a little bit here, reducing its own influence by cutting its self-delegation stake down to 80 million ADA. So why does all of that matter? Well, it's because it shows Cardano really wants to walk the decentralization walk. Most projects, they talk a big game, but being decentralized while a small group quietly holds all of the power, right? Now, Cardano is literally distributing power and the ADA that symbolizes it to more people. Now, I do have a little bit of a bugbear here. I don't fully understand why they're delegating 220 million ADA to just 11 DReps. There's a lot more DReps out there. So if it was about decentralization, then surely that power should be equally spread across all decentralized representatives, not just a chosen handful. I find that actually, although it's a step in the right direction, also not really the full step that you would expect to see. So a little bit of a bugbear there, I have to say. I don't fully understand why you would just you're basically picking winners within the decentralized reps and basically saying that these people can make the decision. That's not decentralization. That's centralization, choosing to try to be more, or trying to choose the other decentralized players, but you're basically making it centralized all over again. So it seems rather counterintuitive to me. Now, you can let me know your thoughts on all of that in the comments down below, right? Because I am someone who participates in Cardano's ecosystem, right? I am a DRep myself. I do run a SPO, a stake pool. I'm a stake pool operator, right? I am a DRep. And so I find it odd why the foundation is picking and choosing winners. To me, that doesn't sound decentralized. But you can let me know your thoughts on all of that in the comments down below. So this news, it did get me thinking about my own role in Cardano's decentralized future, of course. Many of you know that I run a stake pool myself with the ticker 𝗗𝗶𝘀𝗰𝗍𝗋, CHEEK. Here's a quick plug, of course, because I have to talk about it in these videos. If you do hold ADA and, it's just sitting in your wallet waiting for the price to moon, then you could actually consider staking it to my own pool, right? 𝗗𝗶𝘀𝗰𝗍𝗋, right? It's a great way to make your ADA work harder for you. You earn rewards, kind of like interest, for supporting the network. And here's the best part. Your ADA, it's never locked up. You can move it whenever you want. It always stays in your full control and your wallet. So if you're already delegating, maybe to another pool, but you want to support what we do on this channel here, well, you could consider moving your delegation over to the 𝗗𝗶𝘀𝗰𝗍𝗋 pool too. It would mean the world to me, right? We're nowhere near saturation, so there's no fear that you're going to get kind of less rewards. In fact, if anything, you're just going to get the same rewards, if not better. So it really does help support the videos that we make here as well. So I appreciate it. If you haven't already staked your ADA, it's worth checking out. And if you are already staking, then consider moving if you want to. Your ADA can be doing a whole lot more than just sitting idle. By staking, you can help secure the network and you get rewarded for it. Okay, that's kind of the end of the commercial, I promise. Let's get back to the story. Moving on to the next part of Cardano's roadmap, decentralized finance, or DeFi. Now, Cardano has been a little bit of a late bloomer in DeFi, hasn't it? Now, if you remember the video I did the other day, well, we're kind of getting the blame in that one too. So if you were around in the last bull run, then you know that while Ethereum, Solana, and some others had some DeFi projects that were going crazy, Cardano was kind of just sitting on the sidelines building stuff. Now, some people, they got impatient and they just slapped on the ghost chain label onto Cardano because of that. Well, those ghosts might be ready to party, right? Because the foundation just announced that it's injecting an 8-figure amount of ADA into Cardano's DeFi ecosystem, specifically to boost Cardano's stablecoin projects with liquidity. 8-figure ADA, yeah. That means at least 10 million ADA, right? So just think tens of millions of dollars worth, or tens of millions of dollars worth, if we do get to $1, that is. That's a serious chunk of change, right, that is providing liquidity. Now, why focus on stablecoins, you're probably thinking? Well, it's because that's really the strong stablecoin, or a few of them, on Cardano can be the backbone of a thriving DeFi scene, right? You've got to think about lending, trading, payments, all of that. All that good stuff that DeFi needs comes from stablecoins that hold their value and have deep liquidity. But they didn't stop there. Right, the foundation is also looking to support the broader ecosystem financially. Remember those proposals about converting $100 million in ADA into stablecoins? That is actually happening. They're going to be doing it so that they have a big reserve of stable funds to keep funding projects and initiatives without being at the mercy of ADA's price swings. It's kind of like a little bit ironic, but it is a bit smart at the same time. They're using ADA to buy stablecoins so that they can spend on growth without worrying if ADA's price dips next month. Think of it like a company selling some of its stocks for cash to invest in new projects, except here the stock is ADA and the cash is stablecoins. Now, as we know in crypto, this is a sum-zero game, right? Means that no money is ever made, money is only ever transferred between the participants, right? So if the foundation is selling ADA, well, they're going to be taking money out of the ADA liquidity. Basically, someone's buying the ADA and it's not going to be purchased. That ADA is not going to be purchased from anyone else other than the foundation. So $100 million of liquidity is being extracted from the Cardano ecosystem and put into stablecoins. This is a double-edged sword. It's positive, but it's also negative, right? $100 million is a pretty sizable amount of liquidity. So this could have an inverse effect on the price action if not done correctly. We see this time and time again with other projects like Ethereum. When they dump their ETH, or the foundation dumps their ETH on the market, usually they do that at the top of a bull market. So basically normal, everyday retail investors become exit liquidity. So word of caution, it's a double-edged sword here. Now, something that you might, at least that might sound small, but is actually a pretty big deal, the foundation is changing how it delegates to stake pools. For a long time, the Cardano Foundation ran a special delegation program where they would delegate large amounts of ADA to smaller community stake pools to support decentralization. Almost 400 pools received delegation from the foundation at some point, which actually helped a lot of small operators. Maybe even some of you watching run a pool and you got a slice of that. I know that our pool didn't, and since the whole ISPO meld incident, we actually lost about 30 million from our pool. So yeah, it would be nice, but again, we're not in it for making significant amounts of money. We're never going to have multiple different stake pools on this channel. We're going to have a single stake pool because that's how it should be run, in my opinion. Having multiple stake pools is just a liquidity extraction, in my opinion. One stake pool should be enough for any one influencer, in my humble opinion. Anyway, this update, they actually said that they're going to be at least sunsetting, I should say, and undelegating that particular program. Instead of rotating their delegation among community pools, they're going to delegate that ADA to their own Cardano Foundation pools, which are, of course, fully pledged by the foundation. So over the next few months, right, they kind of thanked the 400 pools that got the delegation and have been carrying the decentralization mission forward, which is classy, but let's be real. Some people will be disappointed to see that the program has now gone. So they are, why are they doing this? It's likely to be financially stable. And again, they're going to have their own pools, funny enough, right? I want to see some of these mechanics also get moved. Let's adjust K, parameter K. Let's do that. Right, let's lower the saturation levels as well. Because I don't want lots of large entities having stake pools. To me, it doesn't feel right. It's not a part of that decentralization ethos. Again, it's like the foundation is picking and choosing winners, right? I don't like it. That's my personal opinion. You can let me know yours in the comments below. Anyway, they're likely doing this for that financial stability. Same with trying to get that $100 million of liquidity out of the market. Right, by consolidating their ADA into their own pools, which are going to have multiple, no doubt, the foundation will obviously earn rewards for itself, which it can then use to fund some of these roadmap initiatives, right? Double-edged sword all over again, because there's going to be constant selling pressure here on ADA. Now, or at least at some point there will be. Asking for external funding is going to be interesting as well. It's going to be a trade-off, right? A little bit less distributed delegation, more resources to grow the ecosystem at, again, the expense of the retail investor, in my opinion. But again, the game is always moving, the goalposts are moving, the game is changing all the time. So this could be a positive in the longer run, and maybe I just don't have the vision to see that longer term picture. I will open myself up to say, maybe I'm completely wrong about how the foundation is approaching these things. Maybe I'm not, right? I'm open to the idea that maybe I am wrong, but to me, it just doesn't feel quite right. Anyway, I have mixed feelings. Like I say, I love the decentralization, and I do get why the foundation needs to fund the bigger picture stuff. At least, they're transparent about making this shift, I guess. Okay, so one more piece of the puzzle, I guess, and that is the development updates or upgrades, right? Because the core dev team, they have actually secured proposals to use 96 million ADA of network upgrades next year, right? 96 million ADA. That is a massive investment straight into improving Cardano's technology. Again, that's going to be 96 million ADA that will eventually basically be liquidated. Now, I wish I knew the specifics of all of these upgrades and the updates to them. Maybe scaling solutions, maybe governance tools, or building out some of that mysterious midnight sidechain, or maybe even CIP-1694 governance that we've heard about, right? But whatever it is, it's funded and it is going to be coming. So if anyone still thinks Cardano development is slow or under-resourced, well, 96 million ADA budget says otherwise, right? They're literally putting money, where their mouth is, I guess, to make Cardano even better. And as if that wasn't enough, Cardano is even looking beyond crypto into the wider world, right? They've established a policy center to promote blockchain in sectors like health and agriculture. Now, that might not sound thrilling on the surface of it, right? But it is actually pretty big, right? It means that Cardano is reaching out to governments, NGOs, and industries, basically saying, hey, our blockchain can help solve real problems. So imagine Cardano being used to track vaccine supply chains or to ensure fair trade in farming, right? Not only does it bring real utility and potentially millions of users, but it also earns goodwill with regulators and the public. It shows that Cardano isn't just geeky tech crypto stuff, right? It's actually about making a positive impact. Now, as a Cardano fan, this kind of makes me proud, right? It's aligned with the whole idea of Cardano being built for social good, not just for profit. All right, let's take a breather and zoom out here. When I put all of these pieces of the puzzle together, education initiatives, onboarding tens of thousands of new users, real-world assets coming on-chain, Web3 integrations ramping up, governance getting, I don't know if I want to say more decentralized. It feels, maybe it is fractionally more decentralized. Maybe there's something there anyway. We've got big DeFi investments, whether good or bad. You've got outreach into the real-world industries. One thing does become rather clear here, doesn't it? Right? Cardano is playing a longer game, one that maybe even I cannot even foresee, and they're playing it to try to win. Now, for years, the Cardano narrative was Cardano is all talk and no product, or Cardano is too slow. But this roadmap, the roadmap progress, it paints a rather different picture. It shows that an ecosystem is maturing and firing on all cylinders. Is everything perfect? Well, of course not, right? These are plans and ongoing efforts. And we might have to kind of see the execution as well, right? But the foundation, it is being laid here, and it is kind of encouraging. Now, I want to share a little personal side quest that I have been on that ties into making the most out of crypto. Unity nodes. Now, if you're a regular viewer, you've probably heard me mention Unity nodes before. The concept, it isn't new to our community here, but I finally did decide to jump into this one myself. Now, in short, Unity is a decentralized network born from World Mobile and Minutes Network. They had a baby together and they called it Unity. And it's basically where anyone can use a smartphone or a tablet to help verify the telecommunications grid. And for doing so, you earn crypto in return. It's kind of like mining or staking, but you can actually just verify that the cell signals are actually strong where you are. And if there's a problem, it gets reported to the World Mobile chain. And the best part is you can choose to get paid in different cryptocurrencies and, that you actually like, right? So I purchased a Unity masternode, which came with 200 licenses. Those licenses are like slots for devices on the network under my own node. Now, I'm going to start running a test with 10 phones to see how it all works, how the earnings are and what they look like. And if it goes well, I'll probably scale this up gradually. Now, the cool thing is I'm going to be choosing to get paid in Bitcoin, Ethereum, XRP, and of course, Cardano's ADA, which I will then delegate to my own stake pool to earn even more passive ADA. Now, you can bet that I'm going to be taking at least some of my payouts, at least a significant chunk of my payouts, I should say, in ADA. And it feels like a neat way to just passively stack more of a crypto that I believe in over time. Basically, stacking unused devices, if you will. Now, of course, with any new project, you're gonna have to do your own research, right? Unity nodes, it has been a topic in many of my videos in the past, so you know the spiel by here, right? Or by now, right? This is an experiment. It is not a guaranteed money printer. I'm going to include some links in the description to Unity's light paper and their rewards calculator so you can crunch all of the numbers for yourselves to see if it's something that you are interested in. And because I know that not everyone wants to shell out for a full master node and have to deal with 200 devices themselves, I actually managed to buy a second and third Unity node where I'm going to lease the licenses to the community. That means that if you are interested in Unity and want to test the waters, try Unity out for yourselves with maybe just one or two devices, and you don't want to have to deal with a whole node and 200 licenses for yourselves, where you can just lease or rent a license from myself and just join the network under one of my nodes. We have more details on all of this in our Discord, which is linked in the description down below, and it's just a great way to give back to the community. So, if you're curious about Unity or want to see any of the updates on my own 10 phones, then hop into the Discord. It's completely free, and it's where our community share insights, answer questions, and has just a good time kind of learning about crypto in general. Now, I'd love that we can explore all of these kind of projects together as a community, and I'm always in there to chat about how things are going. Now, speaking of being prepared in the crypto world, let me share a really quick pro tip that has saved my bacon many times over. Now, that is having multiple exchange accounts ready. Seriously, this is like a cardinal rule of crypto trading that not enough people actually talk about. Exchanges can go down, they can freeze withdrawals, they can get hacked, and sometimes they commingle funds like FTX and go bankrupt, and you lose everything. So, if all your trading is on a single exchange and that one exchange goes down at the wrong time, you're absolutely screwed. So, I personally follow a strategy of signing up for, KYCing if I need to, and testing out as many reputable exchanges as I possibly can before I actually need them. This way I have a plan A, a plan B, a plan C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J. You kind of get the idea, right? For example, I use a whole bunch of exchanges, right, regularly. On my website, linked in the description down below, you're going to find all of the exchanges that I personally use, all listed out. You're going to see names like Binance, Coinbase, Kraken, MEXC, KuCoin, Blowfin, BitGet, LBank, among many others. And yes, those on my website, those are affiliate links. That means that if you use them, it actually supports the channel here at no extra cost to yourself. But they're also exchanges that I do genuinely use. You won't find FTX on that list as an example. Trust as a major part of this Web3 space. And to be honest with you, the Web3 space is lacking trust. Everywhere I look, I see dishonesty everywhere. This channel, this community is all about honesty and trust. I'm never going to shill something to you guys that I do not genuinely use myself. Now, the goal here isn't for me to shill you a whole list of exchanges. If that were the case, I would probably list some other exchanges that are paying higher rates, right? But no, I'm not about that. I'm about reputable exchanges. I'm about trust and honesty. So I'm going to drive this point home. Don't put all of your eggs in one basket. Having multiple accounts on multiple different exchanges is one, at least, or having accounts on multiple exchanges, not multiple accounts on multiple exchanges, that would be wrong. But having accounts on multiple exchanges, if one has an issue or does something crazy like FTX did, then I can instantly just jump over to another one and keep on trading or accessing my funds if I need to, using cold storage to store the crypto. Don't store the crypto on the exchanges either. You've got to have a good security strategy to go alongside all of this as well. More information on all of that can be found in the Discord server, so definitely do join in. I just want to kind of really hit home here that you've got to think about having multiple escape routes like exit doors in a building. Hopefully you never need them, but if you do, preparation can be an absolute lifesaver, right? So take a minute, consider opening a few extra exchange accounts, even if you don't plan to use them immediately. Future you might just thank present you. All right, let's wrap up this kind of rant that I've been on today with some final thoughts on Cardano. Because at the heart of this video is Cardano, right? Because after taking in all of this news, I'm cautiously optimistic, right? No, scratch that, I guess I am excited about Cardano's future. And I don't say that lightly here. Cardano has been the butt of many jokes in crypto, right? I've heard it all. Third generation blockchains take 5 generations to deliver, the ghost chain, and on it goes. Heck, I've been frustrated myself many times with the pace of things. I'm frustrated with the decentralization element of Cardano because decentralization in blockchain technology is one of the hardest things to get right. I think Cardano is making strides with it, but it's not perfect. Nothing ever is. So my frustration probably comes out in this video. And anyway, I'm frustrated with the pace, like I said. But seeing this comprehensive push across education, real-world use, governance, DeFi, and more, I feel like Cardano is at a turning point, or turning a major corner, I should say. Even though I am concerned about decentralization and the double-edged sword of liquidity within the Cardano ecosystem. Anyway, if you are a Cardano holder, there is a lot of reasons to feel upbeat right now. Now, I'm not going to be guaranteeing anything. Remember our disclaimer from earlier. And this is crypto, so things can always go sideways, right? But the groundwork is being laid here, and it is the strongest that I've seen for Cardano. So for the next year or two, they will be crucial, right? It's all about execution now. I want to see those 32,000 academic graduates turn to active users on Cardano and maybe even become developers. I want to see those 400 plus RWA partners actually launching projects on Cardano. And I want to see that DeFi liquidity being put to good use with vibrant Cardano decentralized exchanges or lending platforms. And I want to see us, the community, step up in governance, by actually decentralizing the power, not having too many stake pools, under the same umbrella, because that's centralization within the idea of decentralization. I would love to see a limit on the amount of stake pools that influencers or centralized authorities actually have and control. I think there should be a limit of one personally, because then you get true decentralization, specifically if each of those is then a decentralized representative, right? A DRep on a stake pool could be massive in the longer term. If those things start falling into place, Cardano could truly shock a whole lot of haters and doubters. The narrative could flip from Cardano is always late to Cardano got it right in the end. And honestly, wouldn't that just be something? The tortoise slowly but surely wins the race, right? So to everyone who is still here with me now, thank you for hanging out and sharing your time with me today. This week had a lot of surprises, from the idea of a Cardano Dogecoin collaboration to everyone, at least no one expected, I should say, to Cardano quietly making huge moves towards global adoption, plus my own little adventures into trying to earn more crypto with Unity nodes. And it kind of shows just how fast things can evolve in this space, and how 1 week can actually rewrite a whole narrative. So hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and join our amazing community here for honesty within Web3. Let's ride this rocket of Cardano together into our next adventure.